Welcome to Glitch Cube. We're a gaming podcast, and each week we take a deeper look into the art of video games. I'm Christian.
Chris.
And before we jump into today's episode, I want to continue on with this fun little trend that we're doing and spreading some joy out there in the world. I want to see if there's anything this week that you would like to hype.
Honestly, I've been catching up with a lot of stuff that I've been putting off. So I finally got started watching Demon Slayer.
Oh, nice.
I like it so far. It's good. I like the first episode in, I was kind of like, oh, it's okay. Like, it's not super exciting. Like, it seems like your typical popular anime, right? But then as I'm watching it more, I'm thinking this is actually kind of good.
Yeah.
Like, I'm liking it so far. Like how deep it gets about like the demons and his like struggle about having to kill him and stuff. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool.
I like that show for how minimal the fillers are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like it just gets to the point. Like that whole, like in, let's say, Dragon Ball Z or something else, that first like training arc of him learning how to just kind of control his breath would have taken an entire season. But instead, it just took 2 episodes, which isn't bad at all. Like, it was very rewarding in the fact that it just gets right to the point, it cuts to the chase, and it just is quick and concise. But it tells you enough story to give you all the information that you actually need.
Yeah.
So definitely
I'm enjoying
a good
one. Aside from that, I finished The Serpent, which was a really good show as well.
Oh, cool.
It's only like 9 episodes, and I recommend it if you want like just like a drama mystery kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then game wise, I picked up Nier Replicant yesterday, or my shipment came in.
Oh, cool.
And I'm excited for it. I haven't had a chance to play it. I have like 2 other games on my list that I really want to play before it, but it's like, I just want to touch it a little bit, and it's like, I don't know what I want to play. Like the past 2 days, I haven't really been playing any games, which is weird for me because I usually play something every day.
Right.
And I'm like sitting there thinking, like, what do I really want to play? Because I've been working on my project that I've been trying to do for the past couple months now. The history of like PlayStation stuff, the original one. So I've been getting footage of that, writing scripts and reviews for it. And it's like, I'm finally getting started with that, which I like. But there's so many new games or games that are on my backlog that I want to play. So I'm trying to push through that, trying to see things through. And it's just, I don't know, it's exciting. It's crazy how every game can be so completely different. And even though it's the same play styles, it's cool going into a new world whenever you want. Yeah, I'm so lost in what I want to play, but it's a good thing.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me, okay, so first off, as far as game-wise goes, shout out to all the Disgaea fans out there. There's actually Disgaea RPG on the iPhone now, and it's actually pretty cool. It's fun. It's a quick little, it's a mobile game, so it's quicker, which those Disgaea games aren't very quick, right? Like, they're very, like, menu-heavy. So it's cool that it kind of dumbs it down a little bit. But the one thing that I really enjoyed in the beginning was when you pick your first hero, you can just keep re-rolling until you get the hero you want. And it's all like the main characters from the previous franchises. So that's actually really cool. And they all have like the same basic stats. So it's not like you're getting a crazy like boost by re-rolling, or you might miss your chance. Like, if you hit re-roll enough, you're going to get that same character again that you had already passed up. So it's nice that you can kind of just keep doing it until you find an avatar that you actually enjoy, and then kind of just move forward from there. So definitely a cool little game to pick up. It's just a fun little one, especially if you're fans of Disgaea, or even if you're not, it might be a good little introduction into the to the game itself, which is it's just a goofy, fun little RPG. So
sounds a little fun thing to play.
Yeah. And then the big one for me this week is Mortal Kombat. Oh my God.
Oh.
So came out 23rd, and I got to run on that HBO hype train again, because HBO Max is delivering with the fact that you can watch movies that just got out in the theater the same day on HBO Max, which is just fantastic, especially right now with everything going on. I don't want to go outside. I definitely don't want to hang out in a room filled with a bunch of other people, or I don't want to watch a movie with a mask on. So being able
Ugh,
to watch
yeah.
it from the comfort of my own home on my own time is just fantastic. So it's a cool little feature, and that movie is great. I mean, the last one that came out, Annihilation, not so good.
Hmm.
But that came out, it's crazy to think about. That came out in 1997. So that was
Wow, really?
yeah, that was the last live action Mortal Kombat movie was in 1997. So
Wow.
23, 24 years later, we get a new one and it's actually good. Like it's cheesy as hell, but it's a video game movie. How can it not be? But those fight scenes, like if you're a fan of Mortal Kombat and fighting games, like they pay so much homage to the genre, and they throw in as many little like teasers to the game. It's just yeah, it's great. So that was a fun watch. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, find a way to watch it and just enjoy it because they hopefully will be making more of them.
I'm excited for it. I'm probably gonna watch it this weekend.
Yeah.
It's been sitting there. I'm just like, oh, I need to. I keep hearing people like praise it, so I'm excited.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely one to pick up.
I was gonna ask you I know you play more on the mobile phone.
Mhm.
Have you had a chance to play Fantasian yet?
So I played a little bit of it. I haven't gotten too deep into it. Um, I like what I've played so far. The
Mm-hmm.
only issue I have with it is the fact that like it kind of goes against what I feel is what makes a good mobile game.
Oh,
So the reason why I say that is because mobile games are supposed to be quick and easy.
yeah,
And like if you turn off your phone or you have to step away for a second, and when you come back, you kind of expect to just end up right where you were.
right.
Where this still has some common RPG tropes that like if you cut out before saving, it goes
Oh
back to
no.
the last like quick save or last save point. So the last time I hopped in, I had like kind of already completed some conversations with people around the town. And
Yeah.
then like a couple hours later, I picked it back up and then I realized I have to talk to these people again and I have to go through that cutscene again. And I just
Uh,
turned it off. I was like, I'm not in the mood anymore. But I'll definitely continue playing it and kind of keep that in mind. And hopefully that doesn't, tarnish my enjoyment of it anymore.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, with it being a mobile game, there really should be a quick save feature as soon as you like lock your phone or go idle, and it should
Yeah.
just save right there. So it's kind of weird that they didn't do that, but I love the visuals. The gameplay is really fun. I think it's going to be a really good RPG. I just wish that they kind of kept the mobile market in mind a little bit more with those kind of like what's the comfort of life, right? Or what is it?
Quality of life.
Quality of life features. I think that's kind of important to keep in mind when you're doing mobile games. So
That's a bummer because that's like of all the things that I could be like against playing a game like that on mobile, I wouldn't think that. Like I feel like that's a feature that is just, common in every game now. Like I
yeah,
figured it's a feature that we've all just kind of grown to get used to. It's not, I feel like that's the worst thing you could do for a mobile game because
yeah,
yeah, I really want to play it because it looks so beautiful, but one playing games on my phone is just like I'm not against it. I'm not one of those gamers that's like ew, like mobile phones, but yeah, after hearing that, I'm like, well, either I'll wait till they fix that or maybe in a year or two it'll get released on like the Switch or something,
yeah. I have a feeling it's definitely going to get released in other platforms because it is a good game. But
Yeah.
I think that that's going to come out in a patch. That kind of has to. I feel like that I can't be the only person that's noticed it and been like, oh, what the hell? So hopefully they go back in and kind of adjust it. And maybe it's already been adjusted and I just haven't noticed because I haven't played it really since that point. So
I see.
yeah, maybe I'll pick it up tonight and see where it's at and have to go through that cutscene again. But whatever.
And then you'll forget and move the screen and then you have to play it again.
Oh God, please no.
It's Groundhog Day.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so it's time to discuss today's topic. and hopefully that was enough of a hint for you guys. But today we are talking about card games, and more importantly, like collective card games or TCGs or CCGs, however you want to call them. Obviously, some of the big name titles would be Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, or Hearthstone, Legends
Or
of
Uno.
Uno now. Yeah, you collect a shit ton of cards in Uno.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, Pokemon's out there, but collective card games have been around for such a long time, and they have really deep roots in actually just American culture. We don't want to go too far into like a history of them, because then this is going to become a multiple episode podcast about card games, and that might not be the most interesting thing in the world for people. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, if you look at it, card games, collective card games can be taken back to baseball cards, right? Where you buy a pack of gum or whatever it may be, and it comes with a baseball card of your favorite player. And you want to make sure you collect them all and get the rookie card and just kind of expand your roster and make your own little personal team. Now, you can't really do much with them besides collecting them, but it is kind of a fun little feature with those. But then a few years after the fact, quite a few years actually, Magic the Gathering came out. And
Yeah, I would say
it,
that's a long time.
it's quite a few years, yeah. Let's do a jump skip real quick all the way to Magic the Gathering, because I feel like that's the first game, or the first card game, that actually set boundaries to what a real like TCG or CCG can be, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of funny that Magic the Gathering was actually started as a fundraiser to get more money for them to actually make board games. So this was just
Huh.
it was just a side project that it was kind of like a throwaway project that ended up catching some, like catching the eye of a bunch of players, and it gained a lot of attention, and then ended up getting bought out by Wizards of the Coast, and then became what we know now, right? And
Hmm.
throughout the years, it's kind of had many ups and downs. It comes out with really good decks, and everyone's really excited, and then it breaks the meta, and then people get pissed off and they stop playing, and it goes through this like crazy roller coaster loop over and over and over again throughout the years. But what's interesting about Magic the Gathering is every time you see kind of a lull in the popularity of it, you see the rise in the popularity of another TCG that basically is just a clone copy of Magic the Gathering with
Yep.
some minor tweaks to it. So it's cool. It's funny to see it. I don't know if it's cool necessarily, but it's interesting at least to see that when people got mad at Magic, they still wanted to play that style of game. So they went out looking for that play like somewhere else. And luckily players were able to actually find that in other facets and other areas. Now, I don't know your experience with Magic. Did you play it? Like, was it one of your things? Were you one of those guys that played during lunch and didn't eat, and everyone just kind of stared at you because you look like a crazy kid over in the corner?
Sweaty, smelly card player.
Yeah.
So with Magic the Gathering, I remember going to this comic book store as a kid, and this is where I would go for like my old Star Wars toys and like rare Super Nintendo games back when they were still new, But they had their, aside from comics and vinyls, their other biggest thing were cards. And I was deep into Pokemon by this time. And I remember looking at Magic the Gathering and I was like, what is this? Like, the art on the cards looked so cool. Like, I remember being really blown away by the art. But at that age, it felt like it was so difficult compared to Pokemon. Like, Pokemon is simple, it's easy, anybody can pick it up. But Magic just seemed like, I don't know, beyond my IQ. And I mean, at this point, I think I was like 7.
It was intimidating. It was.
Yeah, and there were so many cards of it too. Like, at that point, I think the Pokemon card game was at like maybe Fossil set, so it was still pretty early in the Pokemon card world. But I was like, oh, Magic looks cool, and it seems interesting, but it just never pulled me in. And I mean, I've had a lot of friends that got into it later on. And I remember in high school trying it one more time, and I was like, it's not really for me. Like, it looks cool, and kudos to people that get really into it. But I don't know. I just couldn't get into it.
Mhm.
What about you?
Yeah, same thing. Like, I really wanted to play Magic the Gathering growing up, and I played a little bit. I had a deck or a couple of them just because my friends in Texas at the time, like everyone else played, so it just kind of became a thing that if you five of your friends are playing it, guess what? You're gonna play it.
Yeah.
So, I kind of learned a little bit, but I never went deep into it. And a lot of the rules just kind of became a little over our head, at least, because it was a very complex system at the time for us. So we ended up kind of gravitating during that time to playing more Yu-Gi-Oh instead.
Mm-hmm.
Before we're going to Yu-Gi-Oh, because I feel like that's a whole like can of
Yeah.
worms right there. So you brought up Pokemon, and did you actually play Pokemon or did you just collect them?
So I actually played Pokemon
Oh wow.
every weekend. Toys R Us used to have call it the Pokemon uh, card game like league or whatever, and you would get a little stamp book, and it would have like a bunch of little spots that you had to get stamps for. And once you reach the end of that stamp, like that page, you would get a badge. And I still have these badges, or at least most of them.
Oh wow.
And they're like enamel licensed Pokemon gym badges.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think I posted a picture of it on Instagram, like, oh my God, like way when I first started it. Cause I was like, oh, this is really cool that I found this. And yeah, so I would go there every weekend. It usually was Saturday mornings, and just play a bunch of matches. And I used to make decks. Like I probably had like 4 or 5 decks built for different play styles because a lot of the kids there kind of always played with the same deck. They
Mhm.
just kind of wanted to play by chance. And then there were a few of us who were more, I don't want to say pros, but we at least like, tried to make different decks against different people.
Mm.
So we knew when we'd play against them, it'd just be a cakewalk, right? So, oh yeah, I used to play it a lot. And I mean, it was cool because that's how I got Mew from a Game Boy Blue at the time.
Oh cool.
Um, and it was dope. I mean, because I was one of the people that actually finished the stamp book, because we had Kanto at first, and then obviously when Gold and Silver came out, they released the Johto book. So I actually got all 16 badges,
Oh wow.
and because of that, like they would sometimes do like actual like competitions. I was actually entered in it.
Oh jeez, that's crazy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I think I got third one time, and the second time I think it was third again. It was like people from around the whole area. It wasn't just people like that would show up weekly.
Mhm.
So you got people who were a little bit smarter, a little people that were older, and of course they're gonna, they're older. They can think of better decks than I could at the age. So
Mhm.
I mean, I pulled out all the stops. Like I'd have Charizard in there. Like I'd have the big boys.
Right.
Which, thinking back now, I'm kind of bummed because I'm like looking at my Charizard and it's all scuffed up and stuff. And I'm thinking, damn, I could sell this guy for like thousands of dollars if he wasn't scuffed.
Oh
But
yeah.
at the same time, like, I'm happy. And, I actually have been thinking about sending in a lot of my Pokemon cards to get graded because a lot of them are like mint.
Mhm.
Like, especially the Japanese cards, because I collect the Japanese cards. I would play with the US ones, and I would collect the Japanese. And
Oh
I
cool.
have like all kinds of them from different series. I have like the rare Tropical Island sets. I have vending machine sets. Like I have a bunch.
Mhm.
And it's cool because I didn't realize some of these cards are banned because of the images on them.
Oh weird.
Um, yeah, there's like one called Misty's Tears where she's naked and she's hugging Staryu with like tears running
Oh yeah, I
down. You
heard
can
about
kind of
that.
see like the underboob.
Mhm.
And then there's one, it's like some little guy, a little Pokemon drinking milk, and it's like this fake udder that's like pumping milk into it. It's
That's
weird.
weird. That's weird.
Um, Yeah, there's like a bunch of different ones. So it's like it's really cool going through this, and I'm like looking through it, and I'm like, damn, like some of my cards are worth quite a bit. So I think I have most of my attachment to the US cards, so I think I'm just gonna maybe get my Japanese ones graded and maybe sell them, since my memories of the Japanese set isn't crazy.
Hmm.
I didn't take those cards to play against people.
Right.
But oh yeah, I was obsessed. I even got the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy,
Oh wow.
and I loved it so much I got the Japanese version too, even though I couldn't read it. I mean, it's images,
Right.
so yeah, oh man. I I was very obsessed with that game. That's why when I saw Magic, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with something I'm really good at.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah, dude. I would love to still play Pokemon. Like I know they have, I think, online where you can play the card game,
Hmm.
but I feel like there's so many new cards now, and it's like I was good with, I think it was up to the gym leader decks, and then I just kind of fell off playing those with people.
Hmm.
So all these new cards and stuff, it looks intense, and I'm just like, eh. If I could play the old Pokemon card sets, oh hell yeah, dude, it'd be on cracking.
Nice.
What about you? You ever play Pokemon?
I never actually played it. I never.
What?
Yeah, we never played it, but I collected. I collected like crazy. I had a binder actually that I covered in stickers of different Pokemon, like a bunch
Nice.
of hologram stickers. And my
You still have
binder,
it?
I don't. So here's the
Oh,
horror story. Okay, so this was a 2-inch binder loaded to the brim with those plastic sleeves where you could fit 9 cards in each one.
oh yeah,
So
that's what my binder looks like.
yeah, so I had it back to back, 100% filled with only holographics, every single
What the
holographic,
fuck?
and multiple copies of every single holographic,
You could put a mortgage down on your house right now.
right? So, okay, bit of karma and a bit of background to this. At the time, I was living in Chicago. I think it was elementary school for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we stole a lot. And there was a little card shop by our house, and I feel bad for them now thinking about it, because us like four little kids coming in and coming up with a weird scheme to get the person at the counter to leave the back or leave the counter and go to the back, and then we just pocket a bunch of packs of cards and just run out. And the way we got to
Damn.
do that, we found out that if you ask the person to put something on hold for you, they actually say okay, and then they put your name on it and they put it in the back room, but it was just one person running the shop. So while one person's up at the counter saying like, "Hey, can you put this on hold for me?" then the other guys will just go up to the booster packs, unload all of them into our backpacks and pockets, and just get the hell out of Dodge.
How did they never catch you if
Oh,
you
they
went back
they
there?
eventually did catch us. So,
Oh,
but it was about a couple weeks, maybe about a month of doing this straight.
damn.
Yeah, it was bad. And we got so many Pokemon cards, so many. And I literally had every single one. I even had like all the Team Rocket variants. I had the all like I think I had like 7 Team Rocket Charizards, the holographics. Like
Jesus.
I had so many, it was stupid. And then one day I got into a fight coming home from school, and like after the fight, like I'm getting all my stuff together, and I always had my binder in my bag with me, and then I realized, oh my god, I don't have my binder. Like, where's my binder?
Oh no.
And then so we lived in this like apartment complex, and in the middle of
Mm-hmm.
it there was a lake, right? So we were kind of walking home, and we were walking by the lake, and I see my binder on the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's my binder. So I run over there, and all the pages are gone, but the binder's there. So, you know,
Damn.
I got everything stolen from me. Even though, oh, I can't really say it was stolen from me because I stole most of it first. So that's on me, I guess. Thank you, Karma. But yeah, it's still tragic.
Damn, what a story.
Yeah, it still sucks so much that it still hurts a little bit thinking, like looking at it now where it's at this point where, like you mentioned, you can get this stuff graded. You send it off to a company, they grade it for you, they encase it, they give you the seal of approval. It even has a QR code where it says who like appraised this and like when and all that information, which is nuts to me. And
Oh
they
yeah.
and they just send it back. Even if it's like 3,000, like multiple, like worth so much money, like it just goes right back to you, right? And it's in a beautiful sealed container, just
It also costs a lot of money to
gorgeous.
get them graded.
It's true. I guess that's the risk that you're doing, right? But
Oh yeah.
it's like, it's still cool to say like, oh yeah, I got this one like PSA graded, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, I can only imagine how much money that binder would be worth right now, and I can't even begin to fathom how much that thing would be worth. Cause yeah, it was just nuts. Like the Charizards alone, the amount that I had was just sickening. Like at least 15 of the regular holographic, and then around 7 of the like Team Rocket, and then everything else, all of them, every
Damn.
holographic that they had available, I had multiple copies. So
That's sad.
c'est la vie, I guess. Moral of the
Well, if
story
they were
is
too late,
don't steal,
you can collect.
kids. I thought about that, and I kind of started like, I fell down the rabbit hole of watching like card pack openings.
Oh no.
Like just one night I couldn't sleep, so I was just like, you know what, me, and then just let them autoplay on YouTube. And like for a second I was like, ooh, maybe I should go get some cards. And then I was like, you know what? No.
Good
I
luck.
was like that train has passed. Like I had my chance. Like to me that's like one of those things that it's done, right? Like it passed me along. It fell in a river or the lake. Like it's just, oh well, right? So
Yeah.
I just kind of had to move on from there. And I know for me at least, the next thing that I got really big into was Yu-Gi-Oh! Hey everybody, just jumping in real quick. Just want to say first of all, thank you for continuing listening, and obviously you're enjoying it because you've reached the middle of our episode. But before we continue on, we just wanted to remind you all that if you are truly enjoying what you're hearing and you want to learn some more about us, you can find us on social medias, and we have links in our description. And you can find me and all the drawings that I'm doing on Instagram at Kieran, and that's Keuran. What about you, Chris?
You can find me at Sloppy Cube on Instagram. That's Sloppy and Cube at the end of it. I do all retro games or just games in general, so if that's your thing, check me out. You can also message me about ideas and anything, because I love talking.
Yep. We both really enjoy talking, obviously, because we are recording a podcast. So if you want to join in the conversation, please reach out to us on the Discord, and let's get right back into this episode. So, did you play Yu-Gi-Oh, or what's your stories on that?
I played the games, which I mean, I guess it's kind of similar a little bit. I had maybe like a deck or two of it. I definitely tried, but around the time I guess I was kind of gravitating away from card games. Like it was after I was done with Pokemon and stuff like that, and I remember getting the Yu-Gi-Oh because it was the edgier, darker one, and I don't know. I think because I didn't know anybody that was really playing it, because all my friends who liked Pokemon either kept playing Pokemon or they slowly got into Magic. So I was like, I'm not gonna get into something I don't really know anybody playing, and I'll just play the games, which it's a fun game. I definitely like the mechanics a lot in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it's definitely different.
I like the original mechanics. Like I kind of started watching in preparation for this episode. I started watching some like modern duels. Oh my gosh, they are so confusing with like all the link summoning and the XYZ everything, and like turn one literally is 5 minutes of one player going, I summon this. Okay, now I play this. Now I special summon this. And now I sacrifice this in order to search my deck for this. And because I searched it, now I get to summon this from my graveyard. And like it just goes on and on for like way too long. And then at that point, I'm like tuned out. I'm like, done. Don't care. Like I just can't do this anymore. And it kind of like it's sad actually looking at the modern games because before like I remember being able to just throw a bunch of random cards into a pile and having fun with it. And now it almost feels like the fun is kind of taken out of it. But that could just be because I haven't been playing it or keeping up with it, or I didn't grow up with those rules. So it's not like ingrained in my memory. But
Mm.
I remember I started my Yu-Gi-Oh like fascination started with the anime, and I loved watching that show. I thought it was great, and obviously now looking back, they cheated on the show continuously. Like a lot of the rules that they did, they it just doesn't work that way. Like you can't
Mm.
really do any of those things, and you don't have to explain how to use pot of greed every time you use pot of greed, which is actually a really funny video if you haven't seen that yet. They did like a 12-minute compilation of every time someone plays pot of greed in the anime, and
Yeah.
every single time, I kid you not, every time someone's like, I summon Pot of Greed, and they have to fully explain what it does. And they're like, I summon Pot of Greed. That allows me to draw 2 cards from my deck. And it's
Wow.
every single time, which I just think is hilarious to hear.
Huh.
Just it back to back like that. But I don't know. I kind of miss the simplicity of Yu-Gi-Oh! And I tried to be a tryhard at it. Like, I had the card sleeves, I had a deck box. I tried going to tournaments. Like all my friends were playing it, and so I got really into it and I started trying to do like theme decks. Like I remember I was so proud of myself whenever I was able to trade up to get a full like Harpy win deck,
Ooh.
and I was so excited about it because I even had like the Harpy Dragon and the sisters and everything, like even the Harpy brothers, and like it was a fun deck to play. It didn't do very well in like competition standards, but which is fine. It was just fun, and it was just a cool like it was a cool point in my life to like visualize a deck and then actually like bring it to fruition. And I think that was the
Mm.
first time that in my life that I actually started thinking about like strategy in deck and trying to create like some sort of synergy with it instead of being like, well, this guy is strong and then with him I can summon this strong guy, right? Like it wasn't like that kind of a process. It was more of a let's keep things in line with a theme because I was kind of trying to emulate the anime, I guess, where everyone seemed to have their own theme going on. And I
Right.
just loved wind. Like, I don't know, it just kind of caught my eye. So I went with that. And it was a lot of fun messing with those. But I don't think I can get back into it with all these new crazy rules, even though a lot of the cards that I did play with are still relevant. There's just too much extra added on now that unfortunately I don't think I can go back to it.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I feel about Pokemon now too. It's like it's just they've changed. It's evolved with the times, and I don't know. When card games get too advanced like that, it's just I don't know. Maybe if like I had a group of people around me that were super competitive and into it, it would push me to learn it, but learning on my own to try and enjoy it, it's just like, I don't know. I don't have that motivation for it.
I think adulting's kind of getting in the way of it. We're trying to make a deck by purely buying booster packs and, you know, luck of the draw, heart of the cards, right? Trying to fit like
Hmm.
get lucky and get the cards that you actually need for your deck is just too much of a cost, like financially and emotionally, or just on your own life in general. That
Yeah.
I find it really hard to get back into that style of a game anymore. But what I think is kind of cool now with some card games out there is it feels like they're taking that into consideration, and they must be designed by people our age that grew up playing these games but now have to be adults, right? Like have you heard of the card game Keyforge?
I don't think so.
It looks really cool and I definitely want to check it out. But what I like about this card game is that they have pre-made decks that you buy and you just use those decks. So you run two different like styles within your deck and then you just play with those. And you can like cycle through them. You can trade off with your opponent like after each round and just kind of go from there. And it's really interesting to me, like playing like that, because you
Hmm.
learn every style of deck that's out there. Now, it might be more challenging for the developers of that card game to create more buzz going forward, because not only do they have to create new cards, they have to create new decks to go along with that style. Or it feels like they do, right? They can't just add like 15 new cards to the player or to the
Yeah.
players and just revamp the same decks over and over again, but you might get new cards in them. That doesn't seem appealing enough. So, as a long term, I don't know how great it will be, if it will stand the test of time that, like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon has, but it definitely does seem very appealing to me. And I feel like card games now are starting to kind of harp on, or like join the bandwagon when it comes to digital, because that makes a lot of sense to me,
Yeah.
where you can have that rare card now. Like that rare Black Lotus card that seems unfathomable to have because it's worth what, like $10,000 or some shit in Magic. And
Jeez.
yeah, it's insane. But like in the digital format, like let's say Hearthstone or the new Legends of Runeterra card game, um, you can have the rare cards just by experience of playing. While playing, you get experience points. Those points can get transferred to packs, and then you can get new packs that are just random cards, or you can destroy those cards from material components and use those to create the cards that you actually want. And I think that's a brilliant system to have, especially nowadays where like information is rampant. We want everything now. We don't want to wait for it. People are seem to be kind of leaving chance behind a little bit when it comes to games.
Yep.
And it's kind of a cool system. I mean, I really appreciate it from my standpoint, because like let's say I'm playing Legends of Runeterra and I really want to make like a Fizz deck. And then I look and I'm like, oh, cool. Like Fizz Twisted Fate sounds like a fun little mix. So, what are some cool decks for that? And then you can find like deck listings, make them real quick, and then just kind of have fun with it. Now, that might like destroy the meta a little bit, and some people might get frustrated because you're just like carbon copying decks that are already out there. But it's still a way to have fun with rare cards that in other games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic or Pokemon, you might not have ever seen those cards in your life because you just weren't lucky. So I don't know. It's kind of
That's a
tough.
really good point.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Like, what's your viewpoint?
So I think it's actually a really good idea. I remember when I play Hearthstone, I thought it was always kind of cool how you could just create cards if you had enough dust. You know, and I mean, it was a pain to get dust half the time. Like, it took a lot of cards to get dismantled in order to make the card you did want. But I thought it was cool how everyone kind of had a chance to get good cards if they tried, you know? And I mean, that was always something that kind of annoyed me back in the day, is like, you know, the chance kind of sucks
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, even though you're guaranteed a holo with every booster pack, it's just how many freaking, I don't know, holographic Venusaurs are you gonna, or yeah, Venusaurs are you gonna get, or stuff like that. It's just,
Hmm.
I don't know, the digital card games, it's just, it sucks that it takes away the collecting aspect of it, like physically, but at the same time, it's cool. You know, it's simpler, it's easier for people like us who have to, you know, be on the go all the time. So that way we can just kind of stop and play whenever we want. We don't have to set out a mat and get all the cards set up,
Yeah.
and it's just, it's easier. Um, I definitely do like digital card games. Like, I feel like the only ones I really have played, aside from like solitaire roguelike kind of games, would be Hearthstone and Gods Unchained, which is that like blockchain version of like Hearthstone, which is kind of cool because then you actually own the cards. But
Oh, that's cool.
um aside from that, like, honestly, like, games with cards nowadays for me is like Slay the Spire, or, you know, Loop Hero, or something where it's like it's not a card game, but it uses like card game
Hmm.
mechanics in a game. And it's actually been something I've really grown to love because I feel like it combines my love of playing cards with just gaming in general.
Same.
And
Yeah.
it's cool, and I feel like I've seen the evolution. It's in the beginning there really wasn't too many big ones until I think Slay really incorporated it well. And I think, Loop Hero is really good with it too. It's more basic, but
Mm.
it's fascinating what people can come up with by combining that kind of like luck of the draw aspect.
Well, like Dicey Dungeon or Meteor Fall, like those games are
Mm-hmm.
great, and they have that card game mechanic. And you know me, I'm drawn to that 100%.
Oh yeah.
So it's just, I think I like it because it's simple, right? And it lays the rules out there for you right then and there. You know exactly what this is going to do. It takes it back to that level of playing chess again. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
instead of thinking like, okay, well, if I do this, then they can counter it with, Hush or whatever the hell they have. And then they can use this to seek through their deck and grab their top 10 cards and then summon their boss monster. And like, it just becomes like a muddy mess where it's like, where's the strategy? Because
Yeah.
you never really know what's going to happen. At least with these other card games like Slay the Spire, which I would consider them card games still. Like, yes, they're roguelites, but it's a good mix. Like, that's a good genre mix that just works. And
Yeah.
it it simplifies roguelites to an approachable level where they're not as like, they don't feel as daunting or demanding anymore when it becomes a card game, but it's still very challenging. Whereas, like, maybe a simple card game might not be as challenging, right? So it gives you kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of back in the day on Xbox Live when you play Uno with a bunch of randos. They all had their webcams up and
Oh,
stuff. Oh
gosh.
man, good old days.
That's the original chat roulette.
Exactly. I love it. I miss like simple internet interactions like that. Like, I don't know. It was just all innocent and goofy and just weird.
A simpler time. Now
Yeah.
people are just airdropping pictures of their dick to people.
Yep.
uh, Take me back to the good old days.
We're all boomers here now.
Yeah, seriously. All right, well, that's going to do it for us this week. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If there's anything that you heard this week, make sure to jump into our Discord and mention it and chat with us because we love to have a conversation with you guys. Or if there is a topic that you guys want us to discuss, or an anime that you're liking, or even something that you've created that you want to celebrate and share with the world, and you might be a little too afraid to, you can definitely share it on our Discord channel, and guaranteed you will have praise for it. We try and make sure that we have a good community on our Discord, not one of those trolley communities. So make sure to jump on there, enjoy your time, talk to us, reach out, all that fun stuff. The links are in the social. The links for the socials are in the description below. Just make sure to click on that, and yeah, you'll find your way there. Anyways, thank you again, you guys, for listening, and bye.
Bye.